Thanks for listening in today to the Arkansas Soybean Promotion Board's Soybean Podcast. Today we're with Dr. Beth Kegley. She's professor at the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture in the Department of Animal Science. So how's it going?
It's going great.
Good. So this is a new project. Can you give us like an overview?
So we propose to investigate the effects of adding soy products, co-products, to cattle diets and effects on inflammatory response, and then the number of cattle that are sick, get sick when they're exposed to stresses, and how they grow, their growth performance.
So talking about stress, do I understand that just moving them like stockers from one location to say this site location, is that a stressor in itself?
So there are several points at which stress can be a problem in our beef production system in this country. Calves are born on ranches and farms and live until they're weaned, but then many producers sell those calves at weaning. They are congregated in livestock sale barns where they're commingled with calves from other farms and ranches, exposing them to all sorts of different organisms. And then those cattle are purchased and shipped to a new location and raised. And during that period, we have a problem with pneumonia, bovine respiratory disease, in those because the calves are stressed and they're exposed to new organisms. So they're challenged by those, and when they reach their new facility, they have bovine respiratory disease, which is pneumonia.
Just induced by the stress?
Induced by the stress and then the new organism, pathogens they're seeing.
So first of all, there are two studies.
There are two studies.
Are those running in parallel, or is one phase 1 and one phase 2?
So we have a phase 1 and a phase 2. This summer, we are taking a small group at 36 of our University of Arkansas Division of Ag calves that were born here on this station in Fayetteville. We're taking 36 of those. We know their sires. They're a very genetically similar group, and we are supplementing them this summer. Mm-hmm. So they'll receive the majority of their diet is grass, which is very normal in our production system. Right. And then they'll get a grain supplement that contains either no soy co-products or soybean meal or soy oil.
Right.
We'll monitor them throughout the 56 days. Every other week we will be taking a blood sample, and then we'll also look for some other proteins in their blood that indicate stress response or an inflammatory response. But at the end of 56 days, we're going to challenge these calves with LPS, which is a bacterial cell wall product. It induces, when we inject that, it induces an acute inflammatory response, and we will see if these calves respond differently to that acute challenge with LPS after they've been fed these different soy co-products.
The 3 different options between control.
Yes,
okay.
We have a control,
right,
and then the 2 different soy products, and we'll look at their inflammatory response to that induced stress. Because they're so genetically similar, we hope to detect differences between the diets in that. And there's data in other species that soy does impact inflammatory response. So cattle are different. Cattle are ruminants. So when they are fed oils, the microbes in the rumen biohydrogenate those oils and create new types of fatty acids in that rumen before the animal absorbs them. So we really have to do this in cattle versus what the mouse data says and the human data says and even pig data, because they don't have all those microbes in a rumen that is going to metabolize these fatty acids from the soy products.
That is very interesting. Go ahead.
But then the second phase of the project is a more practical question. Do calves get sick or not? Mm-hmm. More sick, or are there fewer sick calves when they're offered these diets? And in the fall, we will have about 240 calves shipped in here that were purchased at regional auction markets.
So a very wide variety.
A very practical exercise.
Right.
We have a cooperating producer who will purchase these calves at regional auctions, and we receive them. They'll weigh 400, 500 pounds, 4 or 5 weight calves. They will, when they get here, we will process them just as other producers would. We will give them some vaccinations, which hopefully they'll develop antibodies that will prevent them from getting sick. So we'll give them vaccinations when they arrive. We will assign them to treatment, our experimental treatments, and so they will receive the same supplements that we used in phase 1, and we watch them. So the crew comes in and rides pens every morning, so we can tell when they're displaying signs of illness. We bring them up, we take a rectal temperature, decide if they're sick or not, and if they are sick, all of them will be treated with an antibiotic, which for producers is a very expensive proposition. We will record all this. We'll keep medical records on all the calves, and when it's done, we will see if including these soy products altered the number of calves that had to be treated with an antibiotic. We are going to take some blood samples to see how the calves responded to their vaccination. We will measure antibody titers to the things in the vaccine in these calves to see if with some of the products they were able to make more antibodies to the vaccines. We will have mortality data. We'll have costs of all the medicine that they had to receive on the calves from the different diets. Soy products have been used in cattle diets for decades, but looking at it in this way and how they impact inflammation, how they impact whether the calves get sick or not. If soybean meal or soy oil is giving this additional benefit that we haven't detected, then that could make it more valuable to use, make it worth paying a bit more to use in these diets around the time of stress, where the cattle are stressed.
It's the same input versus output that farmers go through. So that's a fascinating project, and I cannot wait to see in the fall how that turns out.
We are excited to do it.
So what phase are we in right now?
We are in the waiting phase.
So these are January, February?
The calves that are out here in the grass traps are our newly weaned ranch calves, and May 31st.
Okay.
We are going to weigh them and assign them to treatment and start the phase 1 project.
Okay, so far they've just been great.
Yeah. This project is going to be used by an undergraduate student at the university as part of her honors thesis. And then we have a graduate student that will be involved in this project, learn techniques, learn how to analyze data, do a lot of the work, and she will ultimately write the manuscripts, and we're excited to do this. It's great. It's a great training opportunity for nutritionists.
Good, that's fantastic. Thanks for spending time with us today. I appreciate it. I kind of hope we get to come back and follow up with you, see how it went.
That would be great.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Arkansas Soybean Promotion Board's Soybean Podcast. We hope you'll follow us on Twitter at Arkansas Soybean and even more resources at themiraclebean.com.